talk to you last week as a result of your fantastic victory, hailed by the likes of J.K. Rowling and others. But of course, then we had the small matter of prime ministers being about to resign. So unfortunately, we couldn't get you. But I said, no, I want to get to this because I think this is really significant. Because J.K. Rowling said that basically the employment tribunal appeal that you won last week, she says that she's claimed that every woman who's been harassed, silenced or bullied for so-called gender critical views, i.e. the idea that you can't change your sex even if you declare your gender to be something different, is safer, she says, after you won your employment tribunal. The Harry Potter author pointed out that you'd won you lost your job at the think tank. You won 3 fresh claims in the employment tribunal following an appeal. Tell us what is significant about this, because you basically lost work because you'd written a tweet, no hatred in it at all, nothing anti-trans, but simply about men and women being, well, the sex they're born, which apparently seemed to be a very controversial view worth losing a job over.
Yes, I tweeted about the definition of man and woman, and I also tweeted about the government planning to change that at the time, and people who worked for my organisation, actually people who were in the US, complained, and the organisation panicked and investigated me, and I lost my job. And what the judgment has now shown is that I was a victim of discrimination. They treated me unfairly, and employers have to think about the rights of people who have this belief, which is absolutely ordinary, straightforward belief in the reality of sex, should not be discriminated or harassed or bullied because of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's extraordinary, some of the claims that have been made online about you and in some articles as well. The idea that you said something transphobic, that you had somehow been, addressing transphobic comments towards trans colleagues. No trans colleagues, hadn't said anything to anyone at work, simply in your own personal capacity had made comments which 95% plus of the general public would agree with, and by the way, biology and the law agrees with, was quite extraordinary. And this is a really significant victory, because we have seen people being bullied out of jobs, we have seen people losing their jobs, and we've seen people also, effectively, victims of the very real cancel culture, and people being silent, thinking, well, I can't say that because I might lose my job, it's not protected. Your tribunal, you didn't win every aspect of it, there are some pointing out, but the crucial aspect there is that you do have the right to express what this awful phrase, gender critical views, but what does that mean in real life?
It simply means the belief that sex matters, so that people are born male or female and they grow up to be men or women, and that doesn't mean that they have to dress in a certain way or act in a certain way or fulfill stereotypes. It doesn't restrict anyone's freedom, but it just says that sex matters, and particularly in areas like single-sex services, changing rooms, toilets, refuges, prisons, and in sport. Sex matters.
I mean, again, when you were saying this, this was really controversial. I'm very serious, Ofcom rules affecting what I can say, for goodness sake. You were a tax expert working at a think tank. You weren't part of some big sort of campaign or movement. You just got dragged into this through no choice of your own. But all credit to you for standing firm. And going into that, and you've had extraordinary amounts of abuse and lies told about you, and I'm always in awe of people like you who stand firm in the face of that and have the backbone, because you're standing up for every woman in this country and every girl that's going to be born and everyone's safety I know it's old fashioned, the existence of women as something real as opposed to the figment of someone else's imagination.
Absolutely, we can't advocate for women's rights if we can't say what a woman is. It's as basic as that. Well,
let's talk about what a woman is, because apparently the Church of England doesn't know. In a written reply to a question submitted to the General Synod, a senior bishop has said that although the meaning of the word woman was previously, quote, thought to be self-evident, additional care was now needed. There is no official definition of what a woman is, according to the Church of England. Bit of a worry.
Yes, I mean, they're right that no formal definition was previously needed because it was self-evident. The existence of the two sexes predates human beings. You can go back to the Bible or you can go back to biology, it doesn't matter. it didn't need a complicated
But there is an official definition. It's an adult human female. I mean, when my daughter was born, we didn't go, oh, I wonder what sex she's going to decide to be.
Exactly. It was self-evident. But, you know, the courts say it's also related to chromosomes, but we don't have to test chromosomes. It is self-evident whether a child is male or female until 2004, when the government allowed people to change the sex on their birth certificate. And the Church of England could have had an exception from that. They could have said, well, that's fine, that's something the government's doing, but we are the church, we're going to do something else. But they didn't. They adopted that. So in the Church of England now, they won't marry a same-sex couple because of their religious views. But if one party in a same-sex couple changes their sex, changes what's written on their birth certificate, then they will. So the church has abdicated that decision to the government. And, you know, in Scotland, they're now talking about changing the way someone can get a gender recognition certificate. So the church has abdicated that whole truth to the government.
Listen, the gender identity thing, the Gender Recognition Act and all those plans. I mean, this is coming up, of course, in the debate for the Tory leadership contest, and about whether someone could just decide on a Wednesday afternoon that they are the opposite sex, as opposed to someone having gone through a very, very long process. But again, even if you've gone through a long process and cut various bits of you off, and you're still not. You know, you can live as a trans woman or a trans man, but you are not a man or a woman of the opposite that you were born. Penny Mordaunt has come under quite a lot of flack for her comments that she's made at the Dispatch box, saying a trans woman is a woman. She's sort of saying that this is not what she believes, really. There's no doubt at all this is now an issue in the Tory leadership contest, though.
Absolutely, and I think they're recognising that ordinary people see this as a test of whether politicians are trustworthy, whether they will speak the truth, and whether they will face up to the bullying. And the fact that Penny Mordaunt several times and at the Dispatch box said this nonsensical thing, trans women are women, and then now says, oh, well, I didn't really mean that.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that coming up, aren't we? So apologies sneezing while you're talking there. Maya, I think you've just been a wonderful hero for an awful lot of women. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Speak to you again soon, I hope.